As for Group A, the main thing to know is that Mexico are heavy favorites for two reasons. 1. They get to play every game at home. In European club soccer, the difference between playing the same team home and away is essentially the difference between adding or removing peak Lionel Messi from your lineup. 2. They lucked out with the draw. Neither South Korea nor Czechia have the talent levels of golden generations past, while South Africa are one of the weakest teams in the tournament. Much like Mexico, host Jesse Marsch and co. landed a favorable draw. Not only do the Canadians get to play all their games at home, but they get to play against two of the bottom 10 teams in the tournament. Their toughest match will come against Switzerland, who are the U.S. men's national team of Europe, a team that continues to produce top-level talent you'll see playing in the Champions League every Tuesday and Wednesday, but is still looking for its first few superstars. According to DraftKings Sportsbook, Brazil have the fourth best odds of winning the World Cup after the three consensus favorites, Spain, France and England. This is the same team that finished fifth in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying. The talent of this team, though, isn't quite what it used to be. Morocco, with their fantastic defense and their lawyer-awarded AFCON title, seem like the only team likely to challenge Carlo Ancelotti's group in the group stages. Scotland have a bunch of familiar names and they'll be frustrating to play against, but the results haven't been there. Meanwhile, Haiti have been outscored 8-2 in the three matches they've played against World Cup teams since the start of 2024. All four teams in Group D are more likely to advance to the knockout rounds than not because of the 8 third-place teams who will advance. And yet, it is impossible for all four teams from Group D to advance to the knockout rounds because every fourth-place team will be automatically eliminated. In Group D, though, anyone can beat anyone, so there's a very real chance that 3 points won't be enough to finish third either because another team with 3 points has the tiebreaker over you or because everyone else nabs at least 4 points. I think this might even be a little too high for Curaçao. Both Germany and the Ivory Coast have more talented teams than their ratings suggest, so their high ends are both a little higher than what's listed here. Ecuador, meanwhile, are one of the strongest defensive teams in the tournament because of two defenders who just started the Champions League final, Arsenal's Piero Hincapié and Paris Saint-Germain's Willian Pacho, and one of the best defensive midfielders in the world in Chelsea's Moises Caicedo. I doubt there will be a ton of jockeying for places during the group stages because we don't really know who is going to end up where. But if everything goes chalk, then the winner of this group would play France in the round of 16. Losing Kaoru Mitoma is a huge bummer for Japan. He peaked a little too late to become the kind of player the best clubs would have paid close to 9 figures for, but he has genuinely played like one of those guys over the past 3 seasons. One quick note on Sweden. They won 0 games and finished last in their World Cup qualifying group. I recently saw something in some social media feed that labeled Belgium as a potential dark horse for the 2026 World Cup. Can you be a dark horse for 4 World Cups in a row? The reality is that this team is now part of the everyone else pack beyond the top 7 or 8 teams, but they landed in a relatively easy group. Iran have the second oldest roster after Panama's. Egypt's 2 stars, Mohamed Salah and Omar Marmoush, had down seasons after great years in 2024-25. And New Zealand, well, they have a better shot than any of the other bottom-tier teams at getting out of their group. Transfermarkt, there are currently 6 players in the world who would command a transfer fee of €200 million or more. Spain and France are the only teams that have 2 such players on their rosters, but that's really just putting some numbers and faces on something you already know. This group has one huge favorite for first, another huge favorite for second, and 2 other teams that will be scrapping it out for third. International soccer is a dumbed-down version of the game. Teams don't have enough time to practice together, so they can't coordinate the same kinds of high-pressing and possession-based patterns that you'll see in Europe's top leagues. Norway have one of the best creators of chances in Martin Odegaard and the world's best scorer of chances in Erling Haaland. Senegal, meanwhile, have a bunch of Europe-based talent that we already know works together because they won the version of the 2026 African Cup of Nations where the winner was determined on the field rather than by bureaucrats. France are the most talented team in the tournament. It looks like they're going to lose William Saliba to injury and they already lost Hugo Ekitike to a torn Achilles. While I'm not particularly bullish on Argentina's chances to win the World Cup, they're still massive favorites in this group. Despite an aging squad with barely any turnover from 2022, Algeria are one of the younger teams in this tournament, while Austria are one of the few teams that should be able to put out a cohesive and aggressive press. While it's unlikely that either team has the talent to shock Lionel Messi and co., both have the broad outlines of the kinds of teams that have shocked sides that held on for one cycle too many in the past. Portugal just won the UEFA Nations League. They're one of the favorites this summer. They're heavily skewed toward attacking because they're managed by Roberto Martinez. And they're opting for a lineup that sits 40-something Cristiano Ronaldo atop a group of players you might even consider to be 2 generations behind him. On top of that, Colombia are the 9th best team according to DTAI's ratings. Uzbekistan might seem like minnows, but their rating sits them between Senegal and Paraguay. And while Congo Doctor don't have much of a track record of success, they have much more talent than we'd expect from a team of their stature. Since the end of Euro 2024, England have moved the ball upfield slower than anyone else in the World Cup field, produced the second fewest possessions per game, allowed the joint fewest goals, allowed the second fewest shots, scored the second most goals from set pieces. Sound familiar? This team is going to make a lot of people very angry, and it's going to be so hard to beat. England play like the team that just won the Premier League and lost the Champions League final on penalties, but Harry Kane is their starting striker. This new World Cup format is terrible for a number of reasons. For starters, we won't actually know who is qualified until every group stage game is played. On top of that, there are 495 permutations for the round of 32 because FIFA doesn't want teams from the same group playing each other in the round of 32. So the specific groups from which the 8 best third-place teams originate will determine who plays which first-place team in the round of 32. And then, since there are 12 first-place teams and only 8 third-place teams, some first-place teams will have to play a second-place team and others a third-place team. But that's not determined by group stage performance, no, it was already determined by a draw. So, it's basically impossible to know what the draw is going to look like at this point, yet the draw is going to have a bigger impact on this World Cup than at any other World Cup. FIFA has done it again.